Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm glad to be here. My name is Muhwezi Deus. I work with the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries as the Commissioner for Agriculture Investments. So I was quickly called here for this meeting, for which I'm very happy to associate with. I quickly made a presentation, but because of the time limitations, I will not go through all of it. I will just give highlights, but then I will also leave it with the Secretariat so that the members can receive this. So the only thing I wanted to first convey to the members is that as government and as the ministry, we have been implemented a 5-year program called Agriculture Sector Development Strategy and Investment Plan, which has now ended. We spent 2 days at Munyonyo with all the stakeholders trying to evaluate it. But now, as a successor, we are implementing the agricultural sector strategic plan, which is fully aligned to the National Development Plan and with ambitious goals, which we think would be able to, as a sector, to make a significant contribution towards moving Uganda to middle-level income, because we think agriculture is one of the key components to that roadmap. And my job here, ladies and gentlemen, would be to quickly show you huge opportunities where there is money in the Ugandan agricultural sector. And indeed, there is money in the Ugandan agricultural sector, and we have an ambitious program to move our agricultural exports from currently around 2.2 billion US dollars to about 4 billion US dollars by the year 2020. So we think agriculture is going to make a very big, significant contribution. And who is doing that, or I do it myself? You are doing it. Move very fast. I want to take you to where these are facts. You know them, these figures, the contribution of agriculture. Everybody is aware. It's the way we should focus, where we should focus. And for us in agriculture, in our strategic sector plan, we are looking at jobs, we are looking at exports, we are looking at employment, and we are looking at food and nutrition security for all Ugandans, and even including our neighbors. Next. Of course, next, all this you will find in the document which I'm leaving. Next. Please, next. Next. I am assuming that all these you are comfortable with, and you can always read them. I want only to take you where there is money, especially those who want to invest here and those who are already investing. And I have prepared also quickly some concept notes which people can look at. I also leave it with the Secretariat. For example, grain milling. Currently, for example, for maize, we are now producing about 4 million metric tons of maize, and all that is at very artisanal and middle-level processing. If one can make high-end products from corn, from maize, there is a very huge opportunity there, both for the domestic and even the regional market. You know, our cows now, around 14 million heads of cattle. Botswana has 3, they are in the market, the international market for meat. We want to go there. Oil seeds, for example, for animal feeds, this oil seeds here, very huge opportunity. Aquaculture parks, fish farming, cage farming. We have a lot of water bodies, and now we are even at the level where we can lease out, for example, small lake, and you do fish farming, cage farming, all that. Then animal feeds, all these things were coming in the morning, I think. Animal feeds, very huge opportunity. Cassava, coffee, all these. So let's move. Now the dairy value chain. You know that the dairy value chain is one of the emerging, very vibrant chains now in this country. So for our farmers and those who want to add value in the secondary processes, milk now is the hugest opportunity. We are now at 2.2 billion liters. So for those who want to get money, there is a lot of money in the dairy value chain. The details I'm not giving here, but you know that this is a huge opportunity. Next. Now, meat and meat products. We have opened an abattoir. His Excellency opened an abattoir on Bombo Road, but even this is still a drop in the ocean. This, for example, will require about 400 cattle per day, but then that means that farmers within this hinterland can, beef farmers can make a lot of money in terms of fattening these animals, aggregating the animals, feedlots. So huge opportunity in this. Even we're talking like fresh cuts, they cannot meet the orders around the region, UN, what. So huge opportunity in meat and meat products. Next. Fish, especially aquaculture parks. If we can get investors who want to invest in aquaculture parks, and not necessarily foreign investors, local investors, local. If our people who have saved money can put part of this money in fish farming, the market and the dividend is enormous. We're encouraging, as government, it's a high priority where we want our people to go. Next. Cotton and textiles with a lot of challenges, but at higher level processing, we know that there are those who can go there. Next. Madam, the Madam one of chairs, she was here this morning and she was talking about this. She has ventured there. And I have also had some private discussion with her, because you see, if you look at our companies which are in the beverages subsector, they import the pulp, they import the concentrates, and yet we have the opportunity to get this, including packaging and exporting these fruits. And you know, these are organic, so this is another area. Next. Flowers, we haven't had the big challenges in the flower subsector, but you know, the flowers mostly it is the roses. So we have an opportunity to do other flowers other than the roses, and even greenhouse, plastics manufacture, all this, it's still an opportunity in Uganda to take the floriculture subsector to another level. Next. Coffee, you know, it is not necessarily government that should advocate for all this, even the private sector. And coffee, we want to move that. But tea, when I entered, I'm sorry I came late, Kayonza Tea Factory was presenting. One of the big challenges we have tea is the auctioning 90% of our tea on the Mombasa auction, and where we get less other than what we put in. And we have two opportunities in tea. The first one, working with the private sector to see whether we can have our auction option here. That is one. Number two, borrowing like from the Kenyan experience where they got Lipton. Lipton is already on international shelves in the supermarkets, chain supermarkets. They package Kenyan tea as Lipton, and it is able to reach the whole world. So in Uganda, if we can get a Lipton type, so tea, but also cocoa. Somebody was presenting to us here on cocoa. Cocoa has an enormous potential. Currently, we are moving to about 28,000 metric tons, and yet to set up a minimum factory need 23 metric tons, but we are around 28,000 metric tons of coffee. And the prospects are that government is working with the private sector. We are with the Uganda Development Bank to see that we can have cocoa butter and the chocolate factory here, and I think this is in the offing, but this is a huge opportunity. And somebody testified this morning who is working with the cocoa farmers. Really, the money they get is good, and it's a huge opportunity. Next. All these have got opportunities. When you go to the supermarkets, you see beans, you see pulses from as far as Argentina. Brazil. So we think that some of this honey, we cannot meet our quota in the EU for honey and honey products. So all these are opportunities Ugandans and other investors really can make money, and it is demonstrated that they can make money in these things. Next. Now, agribusiness services offers a huge potential and as well as a challenge for both the private sector and also as government. And I'm glad that this morning and later we shall be discussing agricultural financing in detail, banking, agriculture insurance. I'm happy that this one is coming up. So these agricultural services, agribusiness services, as I have listed a few of these here. As I came in, they were talking about challenges of seed, challenges of inputs. We need the best of these to carry agriculture to the next level. And yet, they also come with huge opportunities. So, for example, in this area, there are opportunities, and Ugandans, local Ugandans must come up to invest, not only for the national economy, but also for making money in these areas. And it is demonstrated that there is a lot of money in these areas. And in our strategic plan, we have a lot of details on all these thematic areas. So if you could pick interest and read about this. Next. Now, if Uganda is going to move to the middle income country, as everybody is looking at, there are a lot of associated investment areas, cross-cutting, but related to agriculture. And one of them is agro-tourism. Agro-tourism, I've seen it in South Africa. Honorable Secretary must well be conversant with agro-tourism. Recently we had our officers, including the permanent secretaries, gender and what, who went to Benin and looked at the Benin model, agro-tourism. It's not practiced here. Tourists would come here to fish and cook their own fish. Milk, go to your farm. You host them, they pay you dollars, they wake up in the morning, they milk the cow, they milk their own, they prepare their own cup of tea. All that agro-tourism, very huge potential here. Ugandans need to do this agro-tourism. For example, in the cattle corridor, these are some of the huge, making money in agriculture now does not necessarily mean that you go and make acres of bananas. Just these ones. Make money for Ugandans, make money for the economy. Oil and gas. Hoima is going to become a city. The pipeline, they are going to construct it, they are starting. A lot of opportunities in the Albertine region. Quality food is going to be required. Meat, what for the eggs for the Albertine region. Local content now is a very big problem because we don't want food and what to come from Brazil, packed from Argentina, from South Africa. Ugandans, you must seize the opportunity for the local content in the oil and gas subsector. And agriculture and agricultural products will be highly demanded in those chains of supermarkets that will emerge. So we want Ugandans, leave alone the foreign investors, we want Ugandans to seize these opportunities and make money, and this will improve our trading account. ICT for agriculture, we are talking of insurance for agriculture, but also we are talking of ICT for agriculture. You saw these things were emerging this morning. Somebody was telling us of websites. The people are talking of shortage of information for agriculture across the value chains. These are the solutions. Invest there. You will make money. Next. Agriculture, education. People think education is for Ministry of Education, but agriculture education, people are not investing there. Agriculture, we use it to leave agriculture for peasants. But if you look at the mood of agriculture now, looking at the level of discussion, you have seen the finance platform. Many of you have been there. If you look at the enthusiasm with which Ugandans now, especially the middle class, the educated, everybody now, agriculture now, people who are going in the agriculture are actually now the right people are also coming into what? Into agriculture. And Madam Omara was here this morning, and when I also interacted with her, she doesn't have the right people. These are some of the areas which we need to invest there as Ugandans, to be versatile and make money. Fabrication, all these things, we can make money as Ugandans in agriculture, and then we improve our saving culture. Next. Now, for those who have invested here, you will see that we have a problem of critical volumes. Critical volumes. That one is a challenge. Like now, the abattoir is a good example. It requires 400 cows per day. Who are those? We need a huge hinterland of farmers to feed into that. So dairy farmers must wake up to this. Financing, the level at which we are discussing financing now is good. If we carry it up, marketing infrastructure, packaging. You see, some of these, when we write them down here, you take them lightly. But if you look even at Jessa milk, if you just looking at Jessa milk itself, the content in Jessa milk is very good milk. But when you look at the packaging, you see this Jessa milk, you see that packaging, 1 liter, what that packaging is imported. You see, these are some of the opportunities. And for example, if you start, for example, that packaging, you do it here, you put the milk. So you start with the ready milk, and rather ready money, and so are the inputs and all the other. Next, I'm trying to be. And this morning, there were about 4 rounds this morning, and we need to document this. We need to document it. Me, my examples which I have put here. You may not need to use my examples which I have put here. But since morning, since the time I came in, you have seen the CEOs who are here. They were all demonstrating that to you that it pays to invest in what? In agriculture. They were here. You leave alone my examples. They were here demonstrating that those who have invested in agriculture, they have made money, and we can invest in agriculture as local Ugandans and make money. Companies which have invested in agriculture, I would go case by case to explain this, but I won't. But the truth is that they have made money. Next. Those who invest in agriculture here, they are making money. Next. Now, how do you, for example, invest in agriculture and make money now that the opportunities are there? I'm winding up, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Now, one of them is you go and directly link with the farmers. Companies have done that, they are making money. For example, Mkwano, offering loan extension, everything, is working with the sunflower farmers, is making money. And these products go up to Central African Republic. You can go and link directly with farmers, whether it is fish, whether it is what, all this, and you will make money. Joint ventures. Now government, we are encouraging the public-private partnership. The law is in place, the policy is in place, and we can partner with you, and you make money. And inputs now. People who have, our local Ugandans who have invested in now in inputs, coffee, tea, fruits and vegetables, and all these other inputs, they are getting money. The budget for agriculture this year has doubled. But largely, because we are partnering with the private sector, especially on inputs, to make sure that we leverage the effort of the Ugandans to make money in agriculture. As limited companies, some are, they are there, PPPs, so we think we can make money in agriculture. But the policy framework is in place, both as defined in the National Development Plan, in the Agricultural Sector Strategic Plan, and other subsector policies. So time limiting, Madam Chair, I request that I stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so next was someone from the Ministry of Finance. Is that person here? Excellent. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of key points that you talked about. So while you were talking, I actually got a WhatsApp message that I'm supposed to give a brief to the President about a new packaging machine that I have just come back from China to purchase. For those of you who don't hear about my packaging spiel every event, so this type of packaging looks something like this. I just happen to have an example in my bag. But it can also be for liquids. And I've already, in the networking this morning, talked to the tea guy. I've talked to people with hibiscus about just the opportunity of this type of packaging. It's not something that Jacana Foods it's not for just us, it's for anyone in the industry. So I'm excited to be able to present a brief to the President about that as soon as possible.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I commend you on that if we can take it forward.
Yeah.
You see packaging, huge gap. If you look at Western Uganda, this Lake Katwe, in Lake Katwe, we have got soda ash. We have soda ash in Lake Katwe. So even glass packaging, so huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
And also, I think, as an investor here, and as a person who runs a business, I think the worst thing I can always hear from any speaker is, we can't meet the quota of the market.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the best opportunity in the world to be hearing, okay? But it's one of the saddest things that we always stand up here and say. We have so many good things, and yet we're somehow missing the fact that we can't meet the quota in the market. But it's a great opportunity, okay? So let's be all positive about that. Okay, I hand this over now to the Ministry of Finance.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. You can see I'm in uniform, but I'm in finance. So introduce myself, I introduce my senior colleague here. My name's Major Ronald Rubare. Many of you have met me in various forums, so I'm a bit knowledgeable a bit. And Musa Lukwago, whom I always call my mayor, because at least he provides. And I think our main topic here will be agriculture insurance scheme, which government is implementing starting this financial year. And we're putting about 5 billion, and I think our Secretary of Treasury will defend it, and that's what he's going to talk about. But on top of who I am, I'm Operation Wealth Creation. The President first appointed us, and we did our part, and other colleagues joined us. So I know the ground, because I gave out the seedlings and the seeds. But now I'm in finance, and my job is to coordinate financial services in this country. And those who have the money here, please don't leave without giving me a card, because really my job is to look for affordable and accessible finance for the Ugandans and with their enterprises. So on that brief introduction, you allow me to basically hand over to my colleague. He's a senior economist. He will say more about himself, but he's the one responsible for the agricultural insurance scheme at the Ministry of Finance. Musa, I think.
Thank you, Major Rubari. All protocols observed. I'm called Lukwago Musa. I'm a senior economist in the Ministry of Finance. I've been here since morning. A number of issues were coming up. Issues to do with taxation, coordination, issues of marketing, bank loans. Now on the bank loans, this scheme is trying to address some of the issues to do with bank loans. Banks were saying that agriculture is porous, and therefore it is risky to invest their own money unless government provides an insurance to the bank loans. So I'll briefly take you through the presentation, but first of all, thanking the organizers of this conference, because these are some of the key things we look at or after or for as government to interact with the farmers, and you get information from what is coming out from the private sector. Some of the things happen and we don't get to know so we can't push them forward. This will be my presentation. Next slide. I won't go through the outline, just introduction, what the scheme is all about, the scope, government participation in the scheme, and the crops to be insured, and a demonstration of the benefits of this scheme. Steve? By definition, I think we can just say that this is an insurance cover, this is a cover for farmers and producers, as well as ranchers. And the cover, it covers crops and livestock for those risks which are beyond the farmer's control. For example, drought, for example, hailstorm, cyclones, ABC and D. So next, Steve. As of introduction, I want to inform you that this is not a new phenomenon. Agricultural insurance has happened before. It's in Africa, it's in Ethiopia, Kenya is having agricultural insurance, Rwanda is ahead of us, has agricultural insurance for the farmers. Malawi, the farmers were complaining that the banks were lending them money, the small scale farmers. So government of Malawi, what they did was to introduce an agricultural insurance scheme. By introducing such, the banks opened up and farmers were getting loans for small scale farmers. In Morocco, South Africa, Ghana, when I went to Ghana to study agricultural insurance, for them they are ahead. In Ghana, like 80% of small scale farmers are insured. And secondly, with this insurance in Ghana, agriculture is no longer for the peasants. It went ahead. Even the elites like you have now embraced agriculture in Ghana because the elites fear to put their money where there's too much risk. But when this came on place, even the elites are coming on board and investing their money in agriculture because they know you can be compensated for any loss that you might have suffered. Steve? My colleague who is here talked about these key facts on how agriculture contributes to our economy. The contribution to GDP, you get some taxes from there to the roads, employment at all levels. However, despite all those advantages we are seeing above, agriculture faces a number of risks which are beyond the farmer's control. For example, in Ankole, there was a drought. In Teso, there was flooding. Even in Kasese, we went to Kasese to benchmark on this, and we found a farmer had lost almost all his crops due to flooding. And we promised them that we are trying to design a scheme which shall be helping them to recover part of the losses due to natural calamities. Next. Okay. Here we are trying to say that this agricultural insurance is not the total solution to the problems facing agriculture in the country. The issues of fake seeds, the issues of fertilizers. Honorable Seko here is always at the Ministry of Finance trying to push for the sector. We appreciate that. So we are saying we are trying to solve not every single problem in agriculture, but this is a pilot. This scheme is a pilot to see how best we can solve some of the problems in agriculture. Now to the actual scheme. The scheme is a pilot that is starting this financial year 2016-2017. And the key elements include is a public-private partnership. That issue came up in the morning as I was listening. They said government participation in agriculture is key. So we are doing a PPP, public-private partnership, in this scheme. The insurance companies are participating. We formed a technical working group. It has members from Uganda Agribusiness Alliance. Steve here is on the committee. Katende is on the committee. We have members from agriculture. Dr. Mukama is there from agriculture. We We have members from the Treasury Authority for data collection. We have Ministry of Finance. We have Bank of Uganda, insurance companies. So this is not a Ministry of Finance product. It is a product of a technical working group that came up with this product. So the objectives, we want to hedge Ugandan farmers against agricultural risks and natural calamities, which they have no control about. Because, for example, me and you have no control over drought. We have no control over flooding, but they happen and we lose the crops. They also want to increase farmers' access to credit. We engage some financial institutions which are giving out agricultural loans, and they said it's a good idea because now first we are, as a bank, they look so much on protecting their money. You put your money into agriculture, it is not insured, and therefore, once a farmer loses, the bank loses the money. Okay. But they are saying now, if the farmers can insure their farms, we are also sure that our money will be paid back from the compensations from the insurance companies. What's the role of government? In government here, we are providing a subsidy. The issue of subsidy came up in the morning discussions, need for subsidies. Here, this is a subsidy. We have put in place 5 billion in the financial budget running as premium subsidies for this scheme. A farmer who applies for a scheme for an agricultural insurance, government will pay for you 50% of the premiums, and then the farmer will pay the remaining 50. That's for the small scale farmers. For the large scale farmers, those are okay somehow. So we are giving them only 30% premium subsidy. For the farmers in the areas which are so prone to these calamities, we are giving them 80%. In Kenya, they are giving 100% actually for their cattle keepers in the eastern part of Kenya. Here we are giving 50% small scale farmers, 30% large scale farmers, and 80% to those people in Bududa and Kasese who are so prone to these calamities. We should also be doing monitoring and evaluation by technical working group which has members from Bank of Uganda, insurance companies, agriculture, and the private sector. And then we should also be doing awareness and sensitization. Here, we want to use our existing networks at district levels. That's why at this point I want to request for you, in case you want to be like a transmission agent for the scheme, you can get in touch with me after this meeting and you take your contact so we can use you to distribute this information to the farmers down at grassroots level. Data support through this methodology authority, which is also a government-owned authority. So, Steve. Participation, okay. This scheme is not stationed at the Ministry of Finance, because government sometimes doesn't implement such programs by policy. So we are doing this through the Uganda Insurance Association. Uganda Insurance Association, they formed a consortium of insurance companies. So if you have an insurance company that wants to participate, entry is open, but you have to go through the consortium. So far, there are 10 insurance companies that have registered to participate. That is Lion Insurance, Phoenix, Parks, UAP Insurance, CIC, First Insurance. All those have confirmed participation in the scheme. And what they did, they are standardizing all the rates. And it will be government that will be monitoring their operations. Because insurance became people don't so much have interest in insurance as a concept because they say it's not clear. But with this one, government is coming in. We have it's a PPP. We shall be ensuring that its implementation is effective, and once a farmer gets a calamity, they are compensated for the loss incurred. The scope. Being a pilot, we are looking at these groups, and these were picked from agricultural sector strategic plan for that financial year. That's our national reference. Then these are the livestock we're also looking at. We can't do everything being a pilot, but lessons learned from this pilot, 1-year pilot, shall inform future projects and more crops to be added on the list. We're also doing aquaculture. My senior colleague from agriculture told about aquaculture, that it is picking up. We're also going to be ensuring agriculture. So we have crops, livestock, and aquaculture. Next. As I talked earlier on, we are giving 50% premium subsidy to large-scale farmers. We are giving 30% to large-scale farmers and 80% to large-scale farmers in risky and prone areas. These are premium subsidies. So in such a case, let me make a small estimate. If a farmer has been evaluated and is supposed to pay 100,000 for premium to be insured, then government will pay for you 50,000 and the farmer will be paying 50,000. These are the categories, what to categorize as a small scale farmer or large scale. As you can see, large scale ranges from 1 acre. So you can see we're looking down to the small scale farmers. We want to target. We have other initiatives like the SF under means of Bank of Uganda. It's a really good initiative. So, but there was a company that it targeted large scale farmers. Though the officers from Bank of Uganda are saying it is not true. It also covers small scale farmers. But this one is basically for we're trying to basically benefit the small scale farmers. That's why their premium subsidy is a bit higher. Next. Types of insurance. Multi-peril means that you're insuring more than one risk. You come and you say, for me, my area is prone to drought and flooding, and flooding. So you take more than one risk. For peril, you say, for me, I'm in the eastern and we are facing so much drought, I will insure against drought. That's the difference, peril and multi-peril. Weather index, based on weather, poor weather, ABC. Then for aquaculture, that's it. Next. Operational modality, we are using all those agencies. We are having MAIF. We shall get weather data from Meteorology Authority. We shall use existing structures like you, who are already working with the farmers down there, to see how best we can reach the small scale farmers down on the ground. They can participate through large scale, through farmer groups, or as an individual farmer. The flow of subsidy here, the money will be sent Bank of Uganda, the 5 billion will be sent Bank of Uganda, who will be managing the resources. So in case a farmer wants to apply for a policy, he can go through a farmer group in your district, or through that district, or through direct to the insurance company. You apply for the policy, they assess you. You tell how much you're supposed to pay, and then IRA, the sector regulator, writes to the Bank of Uganda confirming that a farmer A in Katakwi bought this policy, and based on the government policy, he is paying 50%, equivalent to 50,000, therefore pay the balance for this farmer. As I wind up, Steve, we are hoping that this will enable government intervention through, we minimize government intervention through provision of hard assistance to the farmers. We are assuming that it will enhance food security through increased production and productivity. We are also assuming that it will increase access to bank loans for the farmers and stabilize household income. Because for you, other than getting money from your own pocket to replant again, you'll be getting money from the compensations to be able to replant again. Then this is the second last slide, where we are demonstrating. This is a farmer. We're using cattle as a product. Here, a farmer, before the insurance, he is supposed to pay. The premium is 2 million. Training levy, those are taxes we charge. Then VAT, and total premium for such a farmer would be 2.3 million. Now below, with government subsidy, we are saying, since we paid for the 1 million, so that your premium is now 1 million, training levy is 55,000, tax is also reduced, and then the subsistence premium, a farmer will be able to pay, for such a scenario, if farmer pays 1.18 instead of 2.3, giving a saving of 1 million in savings. So we are thinking by so doing, we shall be able to reduce the cost of production for the farmers. I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, my senior, Madam Chair. I'd like to thank Honorable Victoria Ever since I interacted with her, my life has not been the same again. Isn't that what the pastors say? And I hope she doesn't she's so good that government might bring her back into government and spoil the whole soup. Because she's so good that, and we have reached this level because of her. But I want to mention one critical thing. All of us are aware that it's a private sector-led economy. And the struggle is have less government. But when you listen to various forums I've been on, it's like people are agitating to have more government again, which is not what the country is. It can't go backwards. It's private sector-led economy, then, which means the private sector must get the bull by the horns and lead us, because the leader must lead. And that brings in the other point on the synergies in the financial sector, the private financial sector. They are all here. I've been to their place one by one, but they need to get together and pass out the same information, like what my senior colleague has said, that all the insurance companies have formed like a platform, and they put same rates and the same information, which means the farmer will not go to UAP and get a different version from Jubilee or some other the other party. So the financial sector, which has a lot of money, instead of grumbling that the farmer doesn't know, the farmer knows. If you're going to give me money, why don't you in 10 minutes tell me how to handle it, even prepare my books, and then I follow, since you are really supposed to help me, instead of saying they don't know. So synergies in financial sector is one of finance is trying very hard to do, and we at Operation Wealth Creation is one of our key mover. We have to do that. Some other intervention which he has not mentioned, we do believe, like, we people in uniform these days, we do combined warfare when there is a problem. That's why I'm in finance, somebody's in UCDA, somebody's in coffee, in cotton, and we are there to try and coordinate this so that we move. So there is something which is under our docket and at FSD, which is the project for financial inclusion in rural areas. It was launched, you are aware of it, they are out there. Their job is to make that farmer or that farmer group or that circle understand financials, so that they follow financials, so that those who want to give them money cannot complain anymore that those people don't know how to handle financials or to keep their books clean. So that one is also an intervention of government. It is under IFAD and Uganda government. There's a big chunk of money there for that purpose. So on that, Madam Chairperson, I think we are meant to talk about agriculture insurance, but I have to reassure you that if you really we make us work very hard, we might be back in the barracks very soon. But if you prolong this, we are happy to stay and do our work for the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Major. Thank you. Thank you to your colleague. Okay, so Sarah, you apparently are the next speaker from SNV. So as she comes up, I also wanted to just highlight a couple of things. It was talked about earlier that there's huge opportunities in service, providing services, and I think the Major's hinting at, especially in this finance industry, if we're going to have this insurance, and I think it's an awesome program, so I look forward to it being rolled out and piloted and being proven as successful. But, there is the opportunity. Someone needs to go out and train these farmers how to do their accounting, right? If a bank is going to be loaning them money, there needs to be that service of, okay, you now have to keep records, you now have to file your monthly reports, etc. Because as an agro-processor, I'm required to use suppliers who have tins, and those suppliers now have to file a monthly report, but somebody's got to do that work for them. So there's huge opportunities as we continue to grow this sector. All these services need to be added as well. And Major, I invite someone from the Ministry of Finance or Operation Wealth Creation, please be a part of our organic movement so that we can be recognized within the government. Thank you. Okay, So I invite Sarah to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Meg. I will start by introducing myself. I don't know whether we still have 1.5 hours. Initially, we were supposed to have about 1.5 hours to have a thought-provoking exercise to see where, therefore, do we carry our value chains. I'm called Sarah Lubanga Mubiru. I'm a private sector person. I have 2 companies that I'm managing, and I have founded them. One is called Sow and Grow Foundation. It's for delivering technical services in agriculture. And the second one is called Aroma Honey Toffee. We make toffees from honey, and those who may network with me can get an opportunity to sample a honey toffee with 0 processed sugar.
I think the chair needs the first one.
Yeah. So what we're going to do in the next few minutes is what the title is saying there. How are we setting the stage to unlock the competitiveness of our value chains in the agriculture sector? And we're not going to specifically think about it in the value chains where we operate, but we're going to look at the cross-cutting issues. What cross-cutting issues can we talk to when we tell government, when we tell the Ministry of Finance, when we tell the Ministry of Agriculture? What are those cross-cutting issues? Because later, as the program progresses for the Uganda Agribusiness Alliance, eventually it will be individual specific value chain platforms discussing what their issues are. So in the next few minutes will really be more of cross-cutting issues. So I have a slide here that I would want to do that thought-provoking process. Now the thought-provoking process is going to be based on a scenario, and we can use this scenario to relate to the value chains that we interact with, and then later be able to discuss and develop the ideas of those cross-cutting issues that we feel will transform the agricultural value chains in Uganda. So this is from Ghana. I didn't want to pick an example from Uganda because then maybe it would bias some of the thought-provoking process that we want to go through. And this is for the pineapple value chain. It carries us through a phase from 1996 to 2009. The dynamics that took place in the pineapple value chain in Ghana, and later we shall look at the interventions that they started to implement to be able to save some of the bad situations and then strengthen some of the good things that have happened. Yeah, so in 1996, the pineapple value exports from Ghana were under 20,000 tons per year, and the major variety exported then was called Smooth Cayenne. For those of you who are in the horticulture sector, you are familiar with these varieties. Then in 2004, so during this period, a number of changes happened between 1996 and 2004. The pineapple exports in Ghana grew from the 20,000 tons to 70,000 tons a year. And the exporters were over 50 companies. They were small, medium, and large, and they were largely Ghanaian companies. And one that is on record, the second largest exporter, was called Farm Pine. So it was a period of success for the local companies. The major variety exported still remained Smooth Cayenne, and it was mainly going to the US and Europe. Now, during the period from around the early 2000s, something else was happening in the international market for pineapples. There was a company called Del Monte. It was a multinational, and they had actually seen an opportunity in another variety, and that variety was called MD2. Now, MD2 was small, rounded. Once sliced, it gave uniform slices. And so it became a darling for the consumers to have on their table. They had no leftovers. So Del Monte, being a well-resourced company, they actually acquired the patent for MD2. And when they acquired this patent, they invested heavily in marketing and branding MD2. They started to produce it on large scale in Costa Rica, and they stole the pineapple market. They didn't steal it, but they dominated it. That's what business is about. It's about being smart. It's about competition. So even by the time the patent was over for Del Monte, they had made a lot of money, and they actually sort of provided incentive for multinationals now to go to Ghana and open up large farms and companies that did the same, exported MD2 to Europe and to the US. So what happened to the Ghanaian companies? So in 2005, by 2005, actually the demand for smooth cayenne had actually disappeared. And remember, this was the variety that the Ghanaian companies had actually strategized to deliver to the markets. So in 2007, pineapple exports from Ghana had now fallen to 30% lower than they had been in 2004, which was their peak. And 40% of these exports were now by multinationals. There was one company called Golden Exotics. It was a subsidiary of a multinational. And so they had now dominated the exports coming from Ghana and going to US and Europe. And the Ghanaian companies had now become close to redundant. So by 2009, all the exporters were now large-scale companies, and only one of these large-scale companies was sourcing pineapples from outgrowers in Ghana, and really was sourcing very small amounts. Most of the smallholders had stopped producing pineapples, and the large-scale multinationals had created, if you're looking at it from another dimension, the large-scale multinationals had actually created employment. But the question was, for how many people and at what levels of income? So this is a scenario that shows you the dynamics that can happen in a value chain, and therefore to help us reflect what value chains we are engaging in and what are the dynamics happening in there. What challenges are they presenting us with? And therefore, when we come for this kind of meeting, what message do we want to put across to actors and supporters for these different value chains? So, having looked at that scenario, what happened for the pineapple value chain in Ghana? What interventions were implemented? They did implement a number of interventions. Unfortunately, in the presentation, I cannot tell you exactly what was successful and what was not, but at least they had some interventions. On the first slide, where I have the scenario, I have the source of this material, so if we can get it and read it in more detail, we can get the story better. It's a book about agribusiness in Africa, prosperity, and by UNIDO. So they decided to source alternative markets for the pineapples of the smallholder companies and to support transitioning to the new variety, that is the MD2 from the smooth cayenne, with trying to target the markets in the US and EU. They tried to support the smaller companies to access the fair trade market through supporting them to be able to certify what they wanted to export. And then they also provided support towards increasing pineapple juice production. And the whole idea of the pineapple juice production was because the smooth cayenne that is the variety that they were producing traditionally in Ghana, was actually producing more juice than the new variety, MD2. They also decided to begin promotion of an older pineapple variety called Sugarloaf, which by that time had actually obtained organic certification. Meg was talking earlier about the organic certification and how Uganda, we can take advantage of that kind of market. Now this Sugarloaf was on high demand in those high-end supermarkets in the UK. So they also decided to see how to capitalize on that. They decided also to provide support towards smallholders to penetrate the MD2 chain. And some of the things they did was to provide affordable plantlets for MD2 and also to facilitate acquisition of global gap certification for the smallholder producer marketing organizations. So the question is, what about us in Uganda today? What is our general scenario in the agricultural value chains? What are our cross-cutting bottlenecks? What keeps our value chains from operating effectively and efficiently so that each actor in the value chain can be able to get a good cut of what product or service they are delivering? What interventions do we need to implement to address these bottlenecks? And who needs to implement them? It's one thing to talk about what we are going to do, what should be done, but who? Who is going to do it? And what are the implementation timelines? Because many times we talk, and then says this, the Ministry of Finance will do this, MAIF will do this, but the issue is when. When should it be delivered? So ultimately, I have been told that each value chain will have its own platform or forum, and the details of each value chain will be discussed at those platforms. And today, by the end of this session, the issue was to come up with cross-cutting interventions that will apply to all value chains. From my point of view, you cannot actually come up with interventions when you have not discussed the bottlenecks. You start with the bottlenecks, then you come up with the interventions. It's possible also to come up with a shopping list. The most important thing is to prioritize so that then you're more focused. So that is my presentation. And I have Meg here as the chair to steer us forward basing on that presentation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay, so Sarah, you come and have a seat. I think you and I as agro-processors maybe can kick this off. I mean, let's kick this off by you kind of giving us maybe, one input of what you think is a cross-cutting issue. Then meanwhile, all the rest of you, start to come up with what your questions are. And then we'll open it for questions.
Okay, thank you so much for that opportunity again. I wouldn't want to bias that thought process for different people. But one of the things that I feel is critical for our value chains is, first of all, storage. Some of the products require cold storage, some require granaries, some require silos, but the idea of storage. But the issue is then who delivers that storage. But I think that's a huge bottleneck. If you're thinking of milk, it's the chilling. If you're thinking of grain, it's the granaries or the silos. So the issue is how then? Is it partnering, PPPs? But I think that's one of the major bottlenecks. That's my example. Yes.
So your first question, what is the general scenario in the agriculture value chain? Can you explain a little bit as to what kind of answers you're looking for there?
For me, the first question, what is our general scenario? I think I would think that since everybody here came to say something, like the invitation said, you feel free to share what you feel, but I would put the emphasis on the second bullet and the third bullet, given the time that we have. What are our major bottlenecks, cutting across, and what are the major solutions to those bottlenecks?
Okay, so we have about 28 minutes before lunch. So I don't like to have speakers get too comfortable sitting. So I know you raised your hand, so how about you start first, and then anyone else who wants to ask a question, why don't you come and stand at the podium to ask that question. Just form a line on that side. No sitting up here because you'll get too comfortable and you'll take too long to ask your question. So.
I was a chairperson.
Yes.
I was asked to make a small issue on this one.
Okay.
And I have to run.
Oh, okay.
So if you'll allow me.
You go first. Is it okay if he goes first? Okay. Okay. So remember, keep it brief, keep it to the point, keep it cross-cutting, nothing sector-specific.
Thank you very much. The issue of value chains is simply this. There are 4 segments in agriculture value chains. The first segment is that they are producers. The second segment is that they are processors. The third segment is that they are traders. And the fourth segment is that they are service providers. Now, by service providers, I mean the research and knowledge, banks, transporters, input suppliers, and so on. So once you have that clear, then you're in a position to know what segment needs what intervention, whether in terms of correcting bottlenecks or in terms of making it efficient. And I think this is very, very critical, and it is the unclear situation that makes confusion in agriculture. And that is why many people say we are supporting farmers and not traders, because they don't understand the various roles in this sector. Can there be a farm without a distribution system of the products? So there must be traders. Can there be an agricultural produce without processing if you want to add value? So it's not possible. The fact that these segments are not clear in the minds of even our government officials, and then there's even a fight between the Ministry of Agriculture and Trade because they are not clear of this, is what causes the problem. And many times you find the traders think they are more important than the farmers, and the farmers think they are more important than the traders. I would have an agricultural word from the pigs to say that, but I will not use it. So you find the Americans call it hogwash, but I didn't want to say it.
Hogwash, yes.
Yes, so that's the word I meant. But really, actually, if these are very clear in people's minds, then you know that none of them is 100%. So in this form, what sector do you give 100% or 80% or 0% or 1%, and why? And then why do you give another one another percentage, and why? What is the traditional percentage, and what should be the prime percentage, and why? This is where the problem of value chains is confusing. So it is very simple. In areas where you need a lot of mechanical work, like breweries, you have to have a lot of machinery. But even then, what happens? Let me give you a simple example of value addition in the whole process. You get a jerrycan of water for 100 or 2,000 shillings. When you get it in the container of Rwenzori, how much do you pay at the end of it for a jerrycan of water? 40,000. What is the value addition in there, and where is the process of value addition? So you get a kilogram of rice or of sorghum from the farmer at 1,000 shillings. It makes 4 liters of beer. At the end of it, you are paying 15,000 shillings for a bottle or for a liter of beer. This is what the value addition is about. But when you are not clear of where and how much is being made, you don't know what it is. And at the end of it, the farmers feel cheated and it is encouraged by everybody. But is that the reality? So until we get these terminological concepts clear, and until we are very clear of the definitives, we cannot intervene in the segmentations of value chains. And many times people even confuse the issue of storage as a non-value chain segment. Is this true? Many times the price goes up because there is too much supply, because there is no storage. And then all of a sudden the price comes down because there is an oversupply. Lack of the element of understanding storage as a critical factor in the value chain. And this seasonality plus lack of value chain storage causes problems. Next, traders are accused, even by big people. And then it makes the farmers feel worse. What is the reality? If you put a store, you reduce these fluctuations and you solve the problem.
Okay, can you wrap it up?
I think, to me, it's very important that we understand this so that we intervene. If I have to wrap up, which I can't, but I will complete it in one small way, Chairperson, allow me, is to see that each segment has a different problem. Like in agriculture, you cannot confuse the segment of production with the processors, because the critical factor in production is the woman. It's not the money, it's not the technical know-how. When you don't understand how much the woman plays in the role in agriculture, she's here looking after the sick, she has to cook the food, whether she's sick or not, the food must be cooked, then she has to fetch water for 4 hours, she has to fetch firewood for 6 hours, and then she has to clean the house. When does she have time for agriculture? So considering the woman's problem in an agriculture which has not been considered because of people who know how to plant, the agronomy and all this, is a big shortfall in our agricultural planning. And those are the segments we don't do, and yet we have to consider them. Agriculture at the producer level is a gender issue in Africa. I need this to be understood. That's why I said I couldn't conclude, because I had not said this. Now you agree with me.
I'm happy I let you continue.
Thank you very much. And then on the other side, for the traders, the high cost of finance is another problem, which is a different aspect. For manufacturers, the quality of processing and the low cost of processing and electricity is the segment. So we need collaboration. We need to come together to know that these various parts are all different but form one thing, the agriculture sector. So until we are very clear of these various segments and their different roles, but the fact that they must come together is the critical factor in agriculture. I end my speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think I think actually his points are really valid. And as I sit here, I think about, the role of an agro processor. We all have a different definition. And, if I were to ask Sarah what she thinks her role is of an agro processor and what I think my role is as an agro processor, I bet they're going to be different. So even if we don't figure out in each of those 4 segments what our role is to be able to clearly articulate it to the other pieces of that segment, okay, then we'll have a challenge. So, okay, yes. And then, so after him, everybody else is going to form a line over there. Okay. Turn your light on.
Thank you very much. My name is Paul. I work for 3 years. Thank you very much for the presentation, Sada. What I liked from the presentation as a thought-provoking exercise is about the market, how fluid the market is and how difficult it is also from, let's say, the concept of value chain to control a market. It's very difficult, I think, and we all face that with different commodities in Uganda. If we bring that back to the question about a cross-cutting bottleneck, I'm very intrigued, and I have no answer to that, but I'm very intrigued about where do we put the business intelligence then? Where do we put the business intelligence if we would like that the farmers, the producers, get a fair share in that value chain? We all know it's very difficult to put that at the individual farmer level. The market is too big, too fluid to do so. It's even very difficult to do it with, let's say, farmers' organizations, be it cooperatives, be it district farmer associations. I work for an organization and we have been trying it, and it's not easy. So I find this a very nice, kind of exercise to raise that question, and I think that could be a cross-cutting bottleneck in many value chains. Where do you put that business intelligence in such a way that it also bears fruits for the farmers who are engaging in that chain? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
The previous speakers, especially the guy who was here, the gentleman, I can't match that. But from the presentation and what's going on, I just want to tackle one thing. The value chain development is a huge matter, and I believe, firstly, that it is a word everybody talks about, but very few understand the implications. The same with value addition. Everybody talks about value addition, but maybe very, very few people understand the implications. But I want to talk about the big word called the market. The market is really that controls what would work. And from the presentation of Dr. Sarah, you understand that there are two things. Either innovation, in other words, you come up with this brilliant product everybody must buy, or really the need. Or the people who have the money will always get a version of water that everybody will buy at a high price. But the market is a tricky thing, and we understand that if somebody is buying, then somebody will sell. If somebody is selling, it means somebody is buying. And I want to illustrate what was the market by just telling you a very short story, which is 1 minute story. A preacher was walking the streets and found a Chinese man, and this is no offense to Chinese language in any matter. But the preacher went to Chinese and said, "Do you know Jesus?" So the Chinese man stopped and thought a bit and said, "Jesus. But if you give me a sample, I'll bring you a cheaper version and a good one." Now, everybody. So one morning I woke up with this, and I said, "Look, could Uganda be to the world in food what China is in technology?" Because every morning if you say, "I want something technological," whatever, I say China, and you run there. Because they fabricate anything and everything. So could our shortcut be that you are in Europe or in America or in Brazil and you say, "This is a version of honey that is selling. This is a version of avocado that is selling." And I think that pineapple story in Ghana is a clear example that somebody thought this is what will sell and put it in the market, and the rest is history. Could our products, could value chain represent that we are out here scouting out there what the market really wants, either in fruits or in pineapple or in fish or whatever? I was in Europe for a long time. I'm still there for a very long time. Tilapia fillet is the most coveted thing, and we can't get enough of tilapia. And yet we are saying we can't, aquaculture is still an opportunity but not something that's implemented. So I think the issue of the market is very, very critical. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good point. Let me ask the audience a question. If I say pink salt, does anybody know where that comes from? Speak louder. Pink salt. P-I-N-K, salt. Anybody know what country that comes from? Or what region? What? No, Himalaya. So, I mean, his point is valid, right? What can Uganda be known for? You know, we can't be everything to everyone. We are, niche players in some aspects, but we better be darn good. Why can't we be the best niche player in certain things? So, okay, next speaker. Look at all these.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Judith Bakiria, and I'm a fruit farmer from Bugiri district, Busoga. And I got the opportunity to have won the Farming Award 2014. I'm in the production sector, and I've got the opportunity to get down and work with the farmers over a number of years. And today I'm sharing my confusion, because the main thing is value chain. We are working with 86% of the farmers smallholder farmers, who are dominantly women, are farming everything. One lady or one farm will have coffee, will have bananas, will have pineapple, will have chicken, will have a goat. So in what value chain would this person belong? And if the emphasis is on value chains, how do we work with the ordinary person who is dominating 86% of the economy, who is doing everything? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm speaking from the audience. Yeah, my name is Nelson Tugume, and just a quick one on value chain. One, I think we're used to talking about small household farmers, but I didn't see ourselves talking about small hold traders. If we talk about the private sector mainly, we're talking about the Mukwano, we're talking about the big people in the business world. But where is the invisible, the informal sector, but yet most powerful sector that we have in the country? And to me, these are key questions that we need to put in play to understand and conclude the value chain. We all know, like Ambassador Philip said, that if we only concentrate at the production level and never tackle the issues and interventions of the small trader probably who could be the next marketeer or the next person to link with the farmer, we may not do so much. And I've also sat and heard in many of these conferences, we seem to tackle the issue of production. And therefore, that's why you have in many cases, even in this country, as we may relate before, things like vanilla and many other value chains that have come up and people produce to so many levels, and everything becomes to the end. So to me, this is very important, and which I think such forums must understand that they need not only to have people in neckties, but need to have people from Chikubo. These are real people that are making things happen. These are real people that are hit by the inflation. These are real people hit by high cost of financing. And therefore, if we do not address that end of the value chain, as you look on that value chain put up by Uganda Agribusiness Alliance, they have where you see UAA, at one point there was, when you go to the value coffee chain, it's very important for me to talk about coffee before I sit, and therefore I never even got a cup of coffee. I don't know either many people are taking more coffee. No, I found when actually it had been finished. So it looks like Uganda are taking more coffee these days, which is a plus. If you look at that value chain, everything ends in the cup. And who really is at the end of the value chain? It's this entrepreneur that I think, in my own opinion, this has not been tackled. And I think Uganda even stands a big opportunity where the World Bank has put, in the last year's report that Uganda is the most enterprise nation in the world. To me, this is so huge. If we start interpreting this data, if we start interpreting this information, data like coffee is the second traded commodity in the world. How Ugandans can we not interpret that? And I was looking at the statistics for the last 50 years, we've been less than 3.5 to 3 million bags. What is the problem? Where we're saying second traded commodity after oil. Uganda, we have oil in our soil. So where is the problem? I think these are issues of entrepreneurship and marketing that needs to be tackled. I've heard our leaders mostly talking about production. Where is the entrepreneur in this? And I think it's the entrepreneur that makes things happen. If you allow me in 1 minute to relate Uganda maybe to the United States. United States probably is continuing to be the supreme economy that it is because one of maybe the likes of Mark Zuckerberg, who just came from the Silicon Valley and are making things happen. These are social entrepreneurs. Most of you have been taken up by Uber and all these examples that we can talk about. But where is the entrepreneur in all this that we are talking? And me, my entrepreneur to take Uganda next forward in agriculture is the man in Chikubo. And where is he in this discussion? That's the guy that I think we need to start thinking about. I thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nelson. So for those of you who have not been to an event that I chair called Generation Agripreneur, right? This is an event I came up with the American Chamber of Commerce, because I look at the next generation is going to be these agricultural entrepreneurs, right? It's going to be the people that are going to take us to the next level. So Nelson is exactly right. So, okay. So just, you have 2 minutes. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, I'm Zaitun Nakadu. I'm the Business Development Manager, Allocation Organic Natural Healthy Products. We are farmers in a unique way. We are into medicinal plants and farming. We are manufacturers and suppliers of standardized healthy herbal products, nutritional food supplements, skincare products, among others. About this topic, I might not directly answer the questions on the presentation, but based on the experience I've had working with farmers and community, the bottleneck would be profiling these people. We need to know along the value chain. I'll take an example of a clear one. I deal with hibiscus. We have quite a number of players in this product, but you find they're scattered. Others are actually not willing to provide the information, or they're not even aware. Why should we give you our details? I'm a farmer. I'm in Mubende. Why do I have to come out and give my details? Let's make these farmers embrace the role of profiling, of getting the information. How are they benefiting? It will help us, number one, with the proper documentation. If we need funding or we need donors, we can rely on this information from the farmers to say, okay, yes, in this value chain, we have ABC, we can back up with this document. Please provide these farmers with financial support. They're able to pay back. Number two, I would like to appreciate Honorable Victoria Sechitoleko. She's actually our client. Hope you're not offended. For bringing the Uganda Agribusiness Alliance, bring us together. You find we have quite a number of sectors. But as we go into this intervention of value chain, I would suggest we come up with priority sectors that can be can spearhead this intervention. If we're saying we have pineapple, we have cabbage, you have horticulture like hibiscus, at least other sectors can learn from this and implement their value chain issues.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess, just thinking about that, it's okay, who owns that? I think that's our biggest problem. Who owns coordinating, a sector? Is it government? Is it the private sector? Is it just anyone can take it on? So I think that's a question that we should figure out. Because otherwise, we all could be trying to do this in lots of different ways, But if we all don't have, a certain set of strategic objectives behind each of those sectors in how we want to try to at least coordinate the information, then it's just going to be random, and we're not going to look like a uniform country in what we're able to produce. And I think that's what we need. We need to, all the sectors aren't supposed to produce the same thing, but we should all produce it to a certain level so that we bring in more investors that can go across any chain, and we can look for bigger markets as a cohesive group, like the consortium of dried fruit suppliers, right? There's maybe 8 or 10 of us that do it, but we all do it a little bit differently, so we can't bulk to try to sell to a bigger order, so we each just sell our little bits that we can to whatever market we can reach. Next.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Diana Nsuga. I'm a public health specialist. So being in this fora for me is an opportunity. And I just wanted to add on to the discussion to say that as a best farmer for 2015, best urban farmer in Uganda, I'm thinking one of the opportunities is scaling up innovations. As a farmer who is not who is really coming into this as a profession, there are things that we've done on our farms. For example, biogas, biosillery, doing organic fertilizers. How can government scale this up for other farmers to replicate and really take it to the next level? There are opportunities in scaling up of these innovations that can make a difference at the household level. Allow me also in a minute to tell you about an icon in this room that is doing a great job. And I know everyone has really talked about her. Allow me to ask her to stand up, Honorable Victoria Sechitoleko. She's an icon. If she was not in this sector as a public health specialist, I'd not be in this room. So how do we ensure that we have many Victoria Sechitolekos to make sure that they support emerging leaders in this field of really agriculture? Thank you very much, Honorable.
So that point about urban farming, if you're not reading about urban farming, I mean, it is something that is going to be real here. And for those of you who have kids, if you're not teaching your kids to grow their own food in their yard, shame on you, right? I've been an organic farmer since I was 5 years old because my parents taught me how to farm in my backyard. Okay? So please, teach your kids to grow. There's nothing more rewarding to see a little kid look at a tomato plant and actually see it flower, and then see it be a green tomato, and then see it turn into a red tomato. That will just spark their mind to say, wow, I can do that, and they'd be proud. So, those are your agripreneurs that we need to start teaching how to farm in your backyards. Yes, next.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tony Bukera, the National Secretary General, Young Farmers Coalition of Uganda. Young people across the country who are below 40 years came together to champion their own needs in farming. And as a National Young Farmers Coalition, when I looked at the questions that Dr. Sarah has raised, I felt there was a need to come and share from the perspective of a younger farmer or someone at the bottom of the pyramid. So what are the bottlenecks we as young farmers or young people who are interested in farming, and we strongly believe that actually farming is the future of Uganda, and not only Uganda but the continent as Africa and as the country, and that the next generation of billionaires are actually going to be farmers. That's what we believe. So one of the first bottleneck is actually access to land. Mr. Philip Idru mentioned that there are actually 4 key stakeholders in the sector: the producers, the processors, the traders, and the service providers. So I'm speaking from the point of the producers because that's where our core work is. So access to land, the second bottleneck is actually access to finances, however little they are. not only finances but affordable financial services. The third bottleneck is actually access to well-organized and coordinated markets, both at local, regional, and international markets. Now,
your 2 minutes are up. So.
Yes, in 2 minutes. Now, the access to land...
No, they're up.
Oh, sorry.
You spent a whole minute just not setting your question. So, please, right now.
Okay, so access to land, what have we learned? There are individual farmers who own land and religious institutions, but they fear to actually hire this land to young people. Why? Because of the land policies. We have a land policy that says if someone stays on your land for 12 years, that person has certain extent of ownership to your land. So now these people are hesitant to actually hire land to young people, and as young farmers we come in to liaise and negotiate with the landowners to be able to act as a security. But then,
okay, we need you to stop.
We are being supported by people like Paro Seeds, and I'm happy to see Mr. Masaga's here. There is an issue of trust.
Hello. There's a lot more people we have to get through. I'm sorry. Okay, we've captured your few issues. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can network with people if you have questions about his issues during break. Okay, next. So please, don't spend a minute just talking. Please just get to your points because you have 2 minutes. So
yes, thank you.
Whoever's standing behind the woman from Cheers, I'm sorry, is it Julianne? Yeah, so you will be last. The gentleman standing behind, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. I hope you will give me a little bit of more time because I didn't talk in the morning.
No, just get to your point.
Anyway, my name is Alfred Gluzinda. I am the president of the Uganda Coffee Federation. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, but I'm now an investor in farming. I run a farm called Kamama Farms in Masaka. We deal mainly in coffee, poultry, and dairy. Bottlenecks. Like most of people have talked about agri-finance as one of the main ones, but largely, what interest are we putting to promote? We people who may be called the elite, but have made some savings that can be invested in the agro sector as an area of sourcing finance. Number two, the banks. Can we have an agri-dedicated bank? I don't think we have one. It used to be there, but is it there? No. Bank of Uganda has tried through the agricultural credit finance, which I actually sourced myself but of course it took a struggle because it goes through the traditional routine, the verification by the banks to access the funding. But what are the successes and failures that this scheme has gone through? Probably that would throw a lot of more light. Number two, mechanization. It is difficult to increase production if we are going to be based on the hoe, which most of the farmers are using. So can we have appropriate mechanization? But simple things like skills, like for example, there are not tractor operators, sufficient tractor operators, even machine operators. People learn just on the job. So we don't have people who are specifically, or a market or a source where you can say that I go and obtain a tractor operator at the moment. So how do we succeed? That's a very big bottleneck.
Okay, last bottleneck.
Under markets, there's lack of standardization. That's why much of our agro products are going to markets like Congo and Sudan, but international markets, not much, because we lack standardization.
Okay, thank you.
Just two more.
No, come on. You have
just one more.
One more. That's it.
Okay, agricultural statistics. If you are going to make an investment decision, evidently you have to have good agricultural statistics. But where is this statistics? It's not available. Previously, it used to be done at Gombolola level, at the sub-county level. You would know how many enterprises are in a locality. Today, you don't have. that source. So it is very, very important to domicile a collection of agricultural statistics at sub-county level.
Okay.
Because of time, I'll stop there. Probably if we have another opportunity, I will have to.
Thank you.
I could make my last point. Thank you.
So those of you who are still in line, if something else has already been said, please don't waste your time. Add new things to the conversation.
Thank you very much. My name is Santa Joyce Lake from Amuru District. When I look at these questions, I think I have to address myself to Minister of Agriculture and some of the authorities that are in place, like tea. I don't know whether there is anything called tea authority, but I know coffee and cotton. And while we are missing out authorities on sugar and oilseeds and maybe cassava, because they are the ones who should be implementing some of these bottlenecks. And my bottlenecks in this context is land use. For example, when I address myself to northern Uganda, we have the land, but we do not know how to use it. 2, gender is a bottleneck. 3, clustering crops. I don't know whether I'm using the right word, but bear with me. I'm not a scholar. I'm talking about, like, for example, a person like me deals in Sim. There are, in the academic context, there is brown, white, and black. I don't know whether Ministry of Agriculture has that. Unless we have knowledge of what we are for, we can never address some of these issues. Because some of the questions here can be answered by us if we are given the right information. Another bottleneck is, I think, information gap, information flow. We do not have the right information, and our biggest problem out there is ignorance. Lastly, in this house, I think many of us are a little bit elite, and we talk for ourselves. But what are we going to do for those who are not in this house? And I would have loved to have, I concur with my son there, about Chikuba people. They should have been here. Ugandan National Chambers of Commerce should have been here. And also, the peasant farmers should have been here to hear. And lastly, finally, I have Ministry of Agriculture who was making a presentation. I think some of them talked about taking people to Benin. I wonder who was taken to Benin. I wish my aunt there who never went to school would call and all just a round thing could be taken, because their eyes would speak for others and they will change. And they will do things that will change this nation. Why do we look at ourselves only and talk for ourselves? Let us bring those people on board, even if they don't know English. They will look at you and they say, a gomas should be tied this way. A shirt should be put this way. It is much better. So let's learn to bring those people on board. Let them talk for themselves. We can interpret. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, 2 minutes, be brief.
Thank you very much. My name is Musa Chigundu Mwanga, and I'm the Chief Executive of the National Organic Agriculture Movement of Uganda. My contribution to the value chain discussion is one. I think Ambassador Eble elaborated the first thing we need to understand about value chains. If there's anything we should pick from today's discussion, is understanding the 4 areas that contribute to the value chain. If we have a good understanding of that, then we have made a very big step. The second thing, all value chains must be driven by the market. And the question is, who has a good understanding of the market for any value chain? If you're talking about coffee, because however much we produce, however much we process, if they are not ending up in the market, the value chain will collapse backward. So we must have a very good understanding of the market. And whoever is leading in that value chain must have competence, must have the intelligence to continuously update the value chain about what is continuously changing in the market. That competence, whether it is coming from the public sector or the private sector, is critical. And that has been one of the major bottlenecks we have in promoting our our value chains. The second thing, from the market, you go to the production, because the production must respond to what is coming in the market. And the biggest problem we have across all value chains in production is that our production is not organized. And it's not about smallholder farmers versus large-scale farmers. In fact, I'm against large-scale farmers in this country because it will never work on a large scale. It will cut off. So we need to take advantage of the smaller farmers, but what they need, they have to be organized. That's the word I would like everybody to take. We should invest in organizing them and making them formal institutions so that they can generate volumes, so they can improve quality. You cannot intervene at each individual scattered smallholder farmer and you are aiming at entering the market. No, we need to organize them so that they work and act as a unit for every value chain. So if we do that, drive should come from the market, and the farmers are organized, then these other actors, the processors, will find it easy, the service provider will find it easy that they have entry points where they can make their contribution. My last point is that if we are talking about the market, Dr. Sarah mentioned very well the Ghana pineapple, and I liked it because I've been pineapple export for the last 15 years. Interesting, when Ghana went the MD2, we refused as a country. We said we'll concentrate on our smooth cayenne because we know of the high quality. But we chose our competitiveness. We said you cannot be competitive if you're exporting smooth cayenne from Uganda as conventional. We went organic. And today, 9 out of the 10 companies that are exporting any product from pineapple are organic. But 10 years down the road, when the Ghana value chain collapsed, we have more inquiries about Ugandan pineapple than probably Ghana has. So the issue is, who is doing the market intelligence?